everyone, it's the History Nerd, and we're here with a new series. This is going to be hopefully, oh, why am I at a loss for words now? Think, man, think. The game where we're gonna transfer it over to a bunch of different Paradox games, right? The 1,000-Year Reign game. So, yeah, I've decided to go with Holmger of Burgunderholm, mainly because this guy's family name is Hammer, and their crest is Giant Axe. And that's pretty badass. You know, if you're gonna pick a family to rule, or a family to start the ruling dynasty of, you know, a nation that's gonna last 1,000 years, it better be a badass name, like, you know, the Hammers are starting this. So, yeah. Figured that would be a good place to start. Plus, they're Norse, so I'll get to play around with fun things like raiding and holding blots and things like that. So, hopefully, this turns out well. Plus, if you take a look at it, we should be far away from wherever the hordes are going to come in. And, you know, I mean, in fact, to start with, we're going to be a horde ourselves. So, yeah, hopefully this goes as well as I think it's going to go. And, yeah, I was toying around with a few other locations. I didn't want a starting location that would be overpowered, perhaps like Uslandit, or ridiculously underpowered, perhaps like Vestisland or Austisland. So I went with nice middle of the road. We've got our own island, so that's good. We're part of the petty kingdom of Sealand, which will just become Denmark. And we've got plenty of opportunity to expand ourselves. We got nice little regions all along the Baltic Sea here. And, but again, all things considered, since this is going to last a while, I don't really want to get too big. My main goal is to remain as pagan, and hopefully the Norse faith will get reformed so it becomes a real religion. If it doesn't, we'll see how that translates into EU4. Rumor has it that there's going to be a built-in converter, so, you know, even if that's a DLC thing, I'm going to get that, because that makes a lot of sense in my head. And taking a look at Holmger here, stats, they're alright. Attributes, a misguided warrior, okay. Learning is right down to nothing. Lustful, you might think that's good, but it isn't. It won't really affect much here, because we only have one title to pass down, but the moment we get more, until we can get our religion reformed, the Vikings are stuck doing Gavelkind. And in a few of the playthroughs that I've done, that gets annoying. Because every succession is basically years and decades of war. So, lustful, gluttonous, that's fine, whatever, greedy, and shy. So the first ambition we're going to pick is to get ourselves a wife. That's good to do. And unfortunately, if we load up this arranged marriage, now the last time I took a look at this wasn't working. I have since updated, so I don't know if it is or isn't, but if you take a look, the list of people who are eligible are pretty low. And it seems like to actually get a good diplomatic marriage going, you've got to actually go and do it the old-fashioned way. So we've got to conduct diplomacy. Let's arrange a marriage between myself and who have you got? Oh, a Midas, actually. That would be pretty good, I think. Linda doesn't like me, but you know what? We'll make her like me. There we go. What else have we got? Titles lost in succession, we'll take care of that. No heir, that's fine. And important decisions, holds a great blot. We're not going to do that. We're not rich right now. And those things wind up costing money. So, what we're instead going to do is raise a band of Vikings, toggle the loot, and then go back and raise the fleets. So for those who haven't seen how this raiding works, we're going to go ahead, put our Viking army onto the fleet, and right here we can see that the fleet is carrying 0 out of 70 loot. So, how do you get loot? Well, let's head on over to the Gulf of Danzig here. We'll just speed up time a little bit. There we go. Still waiting to see if they want to marry. And we can take a look at the province view. And we can see this little bar here is the loot level of the province. So we've got our loot protected by the fort, which is what this little brick wall line type looking thingy represents. And then the max possible loot of 24. So the possible loot we can get at this stage, considering we've only got 200-ish guys, is 8. And it's probably going to be like that throughout the Baltic regions. I mean, there it's 12. That's not bad. So this isn't exactly the richest location to start going through, but one of the cool things about the Nordic peoples is they can take their longboats and sail them up a river. So, now we can take our raiders, plop them down into Klemno there, and we can see here we're going to get 12. That's a little bit better. Excellent. People prefer prestige, really. And since we're at negative 80, we're going to take that. Perfect. Thank you. We need to pick a new ambition, so let's take a look. What do we need to improve? We got a ton of options here. So we can become King of Denmark. We'll talk about that later on, because eventually I'm probably going to use it. But basically, it gives you a free cause belli against anybody within the borders of Denmark. That's the same. Improve intrigue, improve learning, whatever. Have a son, have a daughter, become exalted. That's really the same. So it's just really this new become king type thing that's pretty cool and will be used eventually. One of the other abilities that the Nordic peoples have, well, we just let that raid go on. I'm going to leave the game paused. But you can, at any time, I believe, go up and say, let's say we wanted to go after the Duke of Skane here. Okay, so we can't. Never mind. But what we could do is go to, say, Slipsic here. And, oh, nope. Nope. Okay, well, we have armies raised. Once I'm done with this little raiding, I will show you what I mean. But we've got, as Nordics, or as Vikings, we've got free cause bellis against any coastal province. So that makes building an empire pretty easy. Now, what are the disadvantages to raiding? While you're raiding, you can see the people we're raiding against gets this sort of hostile towards whoever's raiding, and they're going to do it now. So we can see they're marching on us, and they outnumber us, which is not good. We don't want to be outnumbered. So we're going to flee to our ships, and thankfully we ran quickly, and we can see we've got 7 loot in the boat. So we'll just sail on down and find our next target. Actually, that looks pretty promising there. In fact, this whole region looks pretty promising. Yes, okay. So we will drop ourselves over there. And now once you're able to raise a bigger army, you can actually sack the provinces. So if you have enough to actually lay siege to it, you can grind down the loot in all of them, and each little holding has different loot levels. So right now we're just looting this county capital, Nyaizo. Terribly sorry, my pronunciation is atrocious. It shouldn't be surprising. So we're just laying siege to that. And we're not even laying siege to it. We're just picking up all the strays that are outside of the walls. Once we get an army big enough to actually lay siege to it, we can drive through and loot an entire province, not just the initial holding. But to start with, no, get back to the boat. There we go. It's actually not a bad way to just, kind of increase the initial gold. Instead of sitting around, with speed going at max speed, trying to just build up wealth, you can actively go and pursue wealth now as Vikings. Looting isn't open, I don't believe, to any of the other races. I could be wrong in that. If I am, feel free to correct me, as always. But I think it's just the Vikings who can do raiding. And it's certainly just the Vikings who can do sailing down rivers. Okay, so we've got that army coming after us. We'll go back to our boat. And we'll head up that province for a little bit. There we go. And as we slowly raid away, we'll just keep an eye on things. Also, not only is this the start of the massive 1,000-year rule campaign, and it's even going to be longer than 1,000 years because we're starting in like 867, which is crazy. I can call them back later. I was also reminded by Matt, a longtime viewer of the channel, that I had completely and totally missed my 1-year anniversary of being a YouTube guy. So I'm also going to be celebrating, huzzah, the year of history nerd stuff that I've been doing. And yeah, totally thought that was coming up in July. I thought it would coincide with the sort of along the same lines as the release of the new Civ expansion, but it turns out it happened like mid-June, so that's crazy. Alright, so I've got a daughter and I've named her Girly. That's really not creative, is it? Oh well, never argue with a Viking. And we're looking pretty good there, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next location, and we've almost got a boat full. So 1 or 2 more raids, and we should be back. We should head back to Hammer's house, and then we can start actually building up the fine nation that we've got. So I am quite a fan of this new raiding technique. And when you get a more powerful kingdom, it is absolutely insane what you can pull off. Raiding places like Rome, or come on, get back on the boats. And we'll sail down the Vistula. What do we want? Do we want Krakow? We do not want Krakow. So we will take this lovely little province, and a glorious battle. Oh. Well, we'd probably lose that fight. So let's get back to the boat. We'll be sheepish. Sheepish Vikings. No when to run. And we're at the end of the Vistula, so what have we got there? Nothing, and we'll hit that one. And they are really coming after us. Okay, 60 gold's good. I'm not picky. We'll just sail back up, make sure I didn't miss any spots. Ah, yes, I did miss a spot because there was an army there. Well, now there isn't. So we'll secure some wealth from here. Anytime now. We should be getting close to being full there. Yeah, 5 more. I suppose I should pick a new marshal then. Slim pickings. Slim pickings. That'll change. I'm sure that'll change. And are you really... Didn't think so. Okay. Almost there. 68. 69. 70. Back to the boats. And back home. And there we go. We can see a fleet full of loot has returned from raiding. Holmger of Burgundalholm gains 70 gold and 70 prestige. So it also gives you prestige, which is pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and we'll disband those guys, and we'll disband the fleet. Now, one of the things with Vikings is after you're at peace for a certain amount of time, you start to lose, I think it is, prestige. So it's good because raiding is actually considered quote-unquote war. Yay. So if you ever find yourself, you know, whoa, we are losing over here. I'm sure the tables will be turned. In the few playthroughs that I've had, the Nords seem to be fairly successful in subjugating England. Then again, I did, like I say, recently upgrade, so that could change completely. Who knows? Time will tell. So, what we should do is take our raiding wealth, and we could throw it into holding a great blot, but we don't really have much. We don't really have a reason to hold a great blot just yet. When you have prisoners, you can sacrifice them, which is pretty damn cool. So, yeah, there's really not much. There's no point in having a blot yet, I don't think. You also get a prestige boost and things like that, but that's not really necessary at the moment. We're still fairly early on. So what we're going to do to get levy, tax income, and a fort level increase is we're just going to build up the castle walls and then crank the speed a little bit. A rather nettlesome neighbor keeps sending me envoys begging for money or demanding tribute. I feel rather confused about his arbitrary ways, and I'm not sure what I should do. There's no question what you should do. You should nail the envoys' hats to their head. That's a perfectly legit Viking response to being annoyed, I think. Oh, we're actually at war with them. Interesting. Well, I'm not sure how helpful my 292 men might actually be pretty helpful. We'd contribute greatly to the military size of our liege. But we're not going to. Keeping those men around. And let's see. Now, we don't really have a lot of men to go on conquest yet. I was taking a look at Rana here and thinking that would be a fairly nice addition to my holdings. But we certainly don't have enough men to take it. And well, we could. Yay, great walls. Castle walls have been built. Wonderful. So that should, yep, bring our recruitment up. Interesting. Maybe not bring our recruitment. Oh, no, it should bring our levy up. So, as we can see, if we head on out to the bigger view, the Hungarians have decided to settle down, and they are no longer nomads. So that's generally the first group of, you know, new pagans that sort of settle down and start forming their own country. Interestingly enough, this time around, Hungary's looking pretty small. It looks like Bulgaria's taken a nice large chunk out of their holdings, and usually they're much bigger. So that's pretty interesting. And let's go ahead, let's just turn speed down a little bit while I show off some of the new features, like religion. So here's how we would go about reforming the Norse faith. So, we need at least 50% moral authority, we need at least 750 piety, and we need to control at least 3 of the Norse holy sites. And so here are the holy sites that are in question. We can see Tholin, Paderborn, Uppsala, Helduria, and Mera. And so we can see the green are held by people of the faith, red are held by non-people of the faith. So 2 of the Nordic holy sites are actually in the hands of Christians. Then the other 3 are spread between the 3 sort of big empires. We've got Sweden, we've got Denmark, and we've got Norway. So to effectively be able to reform the Norse faith, we're going to need 3 of those under our control. So that's kind of something to keep in the back of the head. And we can see the modifier of the Norse faith. So we get 30% levy size and 50% retainer size. And, you know, at the moment, that doesn't really help me. Because I can have 18, and I can't raise only 18 troops. But as we get bigger, things will get better. Because that's always the case, isn't it? What else? Technology has changed a little bit as well. You can now actually just sort of throw money into tech. I'm not sure how it decides what exactly you're researching. Like, you can see the gears are turning on tolerance, the gears are turning on shipbuilding. I don't know how to actually change those. But periodically, you'll get the little pop-up up top that's like, hey, you can throw some money in research. And then you can just throw money in research. And it'll automatically boost it up for your capital region. In this case, we only have 1 region, so that's fine. Once you get bigger, obviously, it still has to spread naturally like it did before. And here we've got our son, Eilif. So that's good. The holdings are safely in the Hammer family for another generation, and we can pick a new ambition. So let's take a look. What needs boosting? Intrigue. So we will go ahead and start boosting our intrigue. There we go. And I think that's about it for the changes. Obviously the start date. So they added, you know, 200 some odd years. And yeah, all the different religions as well. So if we take a look at it, we've got our Norse faith. We got a little bit in the British Isles as well. We've got Catholic, obviously, throughout most of the old Christian world. We've got Slavic, Tengri, Suomensko, Romuva, I think. Orthodox, Shia, Sunni. There are some Zoroastrianisms kicking around, and the Miaphysites. So there's a bit more of a religious diversity in the game, and I would imagine that that would continue. I'm wondering why that's white. Not sure. But I have noticed in the few games that I have played, it seems like the King of Denmark turns to Catholicism the first out of all the Nords. So as a vassal of the potential new king of Denmark. That's something to keep an eye on. And what else? Yep, so the Gavelkind, we're stuck with that until we can reform the religion, which is kind of an important thing as one gets bigger. But for now, we don't really need to worry about that. My obesity and my hunger for food has left me with no desire left in my body. All that is left for me is to eat, eat, and eat! They all resent me. Especially Alfir. He really resents me. It was devastating to hear Alfir's harsh critique, how my constant eating and bad table manners is revolting to everyone and that I severely need a diet. That's hurtful! Why? Why would you tell me that? We are not friends, sir. Oh, and it looks like we got typhus. And apparently I did have typhus, but the spots are receding and the fever is broken, so maybe I don't now. It's probably all the food I've been eating. Gave me the strength to fight off the horrible disease. Alright, well, things haven't really been happening. The lands are sick. Let's go on a raid. Now the question is, to where? So we've got that area, which, it's okay. But you kind of got to hit a lot of places. So really, let's just hit up some Western European lands. Maybe Bruges? Bruges is nice, you know, and it is very rich. Just want to make sure that that Flemish army is not going to be coming for me. Because we are still little. Okay, so now they are. So we'll just head back to the boat after a successful raid. And we got 17 gold kicking around. So let's head down into the Straits of Dover and see where else we can hit. So that's got a lot of loot, but it is incredibly well protected, whereas you here is not. So that made that decision pretty simple. Lately, I've become afraid that someone might want to hurt me, and I'm thinking about hiring two food tasters. Maybe a bodyguard would be a good idea. Food tasters, bodyguards, and anything that can save me. Or I won't let fear rule my life. Now, obviously, because I'm trying to boost my intrigue, we're going to go with paranoid. Because that's just going to help. I don't think I became paranoid. Considering how much I eat, it's probably not a bad idea to hire all those food testers. And there we go. So, I guess we should cover what the plan is. Ooh, that is a juicy province. Kent. You will be looted. Initially, it's just going to be build up Hammer House. We're going to get that going, get it a nice, strong fortification, and get ourselves lots of men and lots of ships. Yay! My food critic is dead. After that, I think the next great idea would be to go after the Kingdom of Denmark. Then, once we get that taken care of, you just stay there for now. You let me take this loot, sir. It's mine to take. We might want to go for at least Zealand here, which is one of the Nordic holy sites. And then we should probably go after one of the other ones up in Scandinavia. Because the other one is smack dab right in the middle of the Holy Roman Empire. And even though, if we take a look at the empires, or what I was actually thinking of was the kingdoms. So, while the Holy Roman Empire is usually the big blob in the middle here, we can see that it's actually split up among many different kingdoms. So we've got East Francia, Bavaria, Lothrangia, Burgundy, and Frisia. So at least we won't be going after and Italy, obviously. So we won't be going after the big, bad Holy Roman Empire, but East Francia is still a pretty damn big kingdom to attack, especially for a little kingdom like Denmark. So what we might have to do to be able to reform the Nordic faith is to actually unify Scandinavia, which is crazy to think of. Whoa! You're coming right for Essex? I mean, they've got the number advantage, but they're fairly untrained, whereas we are ready to go. Now, granted, the leader's not all that good, so we'll probably just pull out of Essex and pick a different location. Because I'm a bit of a scaredy cat at the moment. I don't particularly want to lose my main money-gathering forces. Because that really would be devastating. Almost there. There we go. Full amounts of troops. Let's head back home. Yay, 70 gold, 70 prestige. Go ahead, disband those guys. And let's take a look at what else we can build. So at this stage, our options are still fairly limited. We could dump it into castle fortifications, but that's not going to get us more troops. I'm thinking what we want to do is wait for something like training grounds, or a barracks, or even try and save up for a keep. Now, what I'm really thinking the best option is to go after the barracks. Now, we're making roughly a gold a month, so a couple of months from now, we'll be able to slap down a barracks and get more troops, which means we can raid locations quicker and potentially actually lay siege to locations if we time it right. Basilios, the great king of the Greeks, is distraught over the poor mettle of his countrymen. Knowing well our skill in battle, he has decided to form a bodyguard consisting solely of Norse warriors. Those who serve him in the great city of Miklagard are generously rewarded, and even now many of our young men, eager for riches and adventure, have departed for Greece to pick up his banner. Now, one of the cool events that can happen to Nordic people, or Nordic men in particular, is they can go off and join the Varangian Guard. And they can return with many different modifiers to them to either help or hurt their character. So, no, what we want is a militia. No, we want... Where is it? Where is it? Oh, training grounds. I don't have the tech for that. I need castle walls too. Oh, and 300 gold, so I don't even know why I thought I could take it. Derp. Okay, well, given that's the case, I'm thinking a barracks. So you can go off and join the Varangian Guard, and you're wise. I'll continue my thought on the Varangian Guard later. Your wise liege, King Sigurd I, has summoned you and his other vassals to a blot. There you will worship and give sacrifice to the gods before taking part in a great feast where you drink to their name. I wouldn't miss it. So, the first character I ever sent came back, and he had boosts to military, he had extra, like, command skills, just absolutely was amazing. I was like, why wouldn't anybody ever do this? This is great. Like, they come back just amazing. We should scheme. We should research cultural tech. I guess we could be training our troops here too, couldn't we? And we should also improve our diplomatic relations with our liege. The time has come for the blot held by Sigurd I to begin. You gather outside the temple and start by offering animals as sacrifice to the gods. While their meat is prepared for the feast that is to follow, the blood is sprinkled on statues of Odin, Thor, Freyr, and the other gods, as well as on the worshippers themselves. See if he's got any human sacrifices, and he does! So, when you get prisoners, and you hold a blot, you can pull the prisoners out, and you can sacrifice them. So in this case, our wonderful liege had a Welsh Catholic man rotting away in his dungeon. Your liege's guards have brought a Christian, Anaward, to the big oak in front of the temple. As the noose is placed around his neck, he continues to prattle on about the Holy Spirit and how we shall all suffer in hell for our sins. But he soon speaks no more. This should please the gods. With the sacrifices over, the feast at the end of the blot can now begin. The meat of the animals that were sacrificed has already been prepared, and there is plenty of mead to go around. Morsels of food and clean-picked bones fly everywhere from the direction of Siegfried, as he greedily stuffs himself with the delicacies served at the table. Suddenly his face turns a strange shade of green, and he rushes toward the exit, but only makes it as far as Godi Hafren, before he starts retching his stomach contents onto poor Hafren's lap. That could have been me. It could have been, because you're a gluttonous pig, sir. The feast is over, and with it the blot. It will be at least 9 years until your liege holds the next one, but as you and the other vassals return home, most seem to agree that the ceremony was well worth the trip. Now, if you are the one holding the blot and you do a human sacrifice, you do gain piety points, and I think it does differ depending on who they are. I don't feel too well. Something is wrong with me. I'm burning up with fever, my nose is running, and my head feels as if someone is banging something hard against it. It's probably just a blot hangover, really. Yes, so back to the Varangian Guard. So the first guy I sent, see, it was just a hangover. Came back amazing. So then, time comes to send the second one off, and he came back a eunuch and blind, and just generally useless. So, it's a crapshoot what happens when you send your people off to the Varangian Guard, but, it's generally a good idea. My liege, my mission to Saelian has so far been a success. During my visit to the court, King Sigurd's snake in the eye, I seem to have managed to make him understand what a benevolent and peaceful ruler you really are, and he sends his regards. Hopefully not peaceful. I don't think that's exactly what, Västergötland. That's a Swedish war. We needn't bother ourselves with that. I don't think my liege would be pleased knowing that I'm a peaceful Viking. It doesn't really fit the bill. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on one last raid because we can. And where to send them? Well, we could sail down into the Black Sea. And it actually looks like there's a lot ripe for the picking down there. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright. Where to first? So what is that? 21. That's not bad. 24 is better. So let's send our men up there. And our barracks has been completed. It's good. We're not going to hold a blot. Thank you. And move on down. I do believe my daughter requires educating. She's got a stutter, eh? Looking fairly good with stewardship, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and send her to... Yeah, Mom can teach her. Why not? To the great Holmger. Peace be with you. In recognition of your service, we have decided to grant you the title of Herdman, your king. So, yes, one of the new things, also, if I can find my court, as Norse, there are new honorary titles you can grant. So there's the usual cupbearer, there's Law Speaker. I'm not sure if that one was there before or not. But then you've got the Merksmard? Not sure. The Marksman, anyway. And the Herdman. So I've been granted the rank of Herdman by my liege. And, yeah, gets me a very little salary. And a little bit of a prestige boost as well. Oh, so, wow, look at this. Okay, so... we actually have enough men and enough room in the ship that we can lay siege to this whole province. I think we can get the town as well. Maybe not the town. That might be at 400. But we can certainly take on the capital. And if we do get the town, then we could get the bishopric as well. So if we take a look, we can see we are now past the wall. We've added that to our ships, but if we just continue with the siege here, yeah, we won't be able to lay siege to that one. Ho! And we are not going to continue either, not with a big-ass army coming our way. So let's just, whoops, let's just turn tail and run. There we go. And we will, yeah, we'll hit up Cherison here to end off the raiding. That should help. And I mean, obviously, like, the rich ones here, like, if we could get a force strong enough to lay siege to Constantinople, like, man, the amount of loot you could get is insane. But, you know, it's going to take a while before we're strong enough to do that. What? Damn it! Where are we? Gotland? That bastard. Oh well. Our ships are pretty much full. We'll head... where can we go? I mean, we might as well take Crimea here as well, and just top up the ships. Full. Let's get the hell out of here. And sail on back home. It would be nice if this siege could hurry up. Actually, let's see if we can assist that. Where did my ships go? They're up the river already, eh? Okay. So we'll go there. It dawns on you one day that there is plenty of intrigue happening right under your nose. Your servants, from the kitchen maids to the stable boys, share juicy gossip with each other on a daily basis. If you want to improve at this twisted game of manipulation and deceit, then perhaps you ought to dive in and join the prattle. Said and done. Let's take our men. Assist in the siege. Taking part in the gossip sessions of your servants has proved an enlightening experience. Not only have you learned of new ways to obtain sensitive information, but also that one of the milkmaids is secretly carrying the blacksmith's unborn child. Oh, the scandal! Man, I love this game. Oh, we can unpause. The writing, the events, it's just... Ah, Paradox. You do such good things. There we go, victory. Now. Actually, we'll go there. Well, come on. Perfect. Yay, peace. We got our 70 gold, 70 prestige. We can disband. And, unfortunately, because of the war, we're looking fairly broke. But I think that's a good place to leave the game for now. In fact, we'll just call this Hammer Time. I think that's a suiting name. So, thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, jokes, musings, what have you below. Thank you all very much for the past year. And, here's to another great year of producing questionable content for your entertainment. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.